So now that Aaron Rodgers has decided to return to Green Bay in 2022, the question now shifts to what is going to happen with Jordan Love? Should the Packers trade Jordan Love? Because before this Aaron Rodgers decision, we were wondering if Aaron leaves, I'm guessing the Packers would go all in with Jordan Love, considering they did draft him in the first round in 2020. But now with Rodgers deciding to come back, I think things have definitely changed from the point when the Packers did decide to draft Jordan Love back in 2020. Because at that point, when the Packers did draft Jordan Love initially, I think there was some question marks to how much longer will Aaron Rodgers be able to play at an elite level. Because at that time, he was having, a few down years for him, which, as that quote says, down years for him are career years for other quarterbacks. But he wasn't playing at, I'd say, his highest elite level. But these past 2 seasons, we have seen him, have 2 back-to-back MVP seasons. So there's no question now that Aaron Rodgers is definitely not on the decline. The Packers, were like, okay, yes, we want Aaron Rodgers back coming into Green Bay. And they were doing everything possible to get Aaron Rodgers back here for 2022. So now that he is going to come back, what will the Packers decide to do with Jordan Love? So when looking at this question and, if they should trade him, I think there are 4 different factors that sort of have to be taken into consideration right now. The first off is, what is Aaron Rodgers' contract going to look like? Because it initially came out from Ian Rappaport that it was 4 years, $200 million. Rodgers later said that was false. So we don't exactly know what Rodgers' contract looks like right now at this moment, and I think that does factor into whether the Packers decide to keep Jordan Love or trade Jordan Love, because whatever this contract does look like, let's say, for example, maybe there's a contract where after 2 years, the Packers have a somewhat, not an out completely, but maybe they could, he could retire, they could trade him, something like that. Maybe they'd keep Jordan Love for those 2 years in case, Rodgers were to maybe leave after 2 seasons, but who knows if it's a longer contract where it will be much harder for that to happen, and he's probably going to stay for 3 or 4 years, I would think it makes much more sense to trade Jordan Love. So first off, we need to see what Aaron Rodgers' contract is going to look like. Second off, how good is Jordan Love? Because from us, the public, what we have seen, we haven't seen too much from him, honestly, overall. We saw him play versus the Chiefs this past season when Aaron Rodgers was out. We saw him play a little bit more later in the season in one other game. And he didn't look spectacular, but I still think he is a young quarterback. He's still 23 years old. He's actually younger, I saw, than Kenny Pickett, one of the quarterbacks in this draft who people project to be highest. So Jordan Love is still a very, very young quarterback. And as I said before Aaron Rodgers made his decision, if Rodgers were to leave, I do think the Packers would have needed to at least give Jordan Love a season to sort of see what he has to offer. I don't think you can solely judge what his career is going to look like off of 1 or 2 random games. I think you have to sort of see what he can do in a full season when he is in control, when he is a starter. And then if after that he's not good, then maybe you move on. But how good is Jordan Love? That is the question. And the thing too is, when we look at Brian Gutekunst's public comments about Jordan Love, it's hard to know, exactly what he's thinking, because he's probably not going to come out and say everything he thinks. For example, if Jordan Love weren't looking good to Brian Gutekunst, he's not going to come out and say that, because clearly, if you were to say that, other teams who could potentially want to trade for him may be like, oh, maybe not. Maybe we don't want to trade for him. So that's the first thing, and sort of what do people, what value do they see in Jordan Love? First off, for the Packers organization, and then obviously other teams as well. And if, let's say, for example, Aaron has some kind of contract where after 2 years, maybe he ends up leaving, traded. I don't know, that's a possible scenario, but let's just say it is. Maybe the Packers hold on to Jordan Love if they still see him as the potential future for the Packers, because maybe they think he can still be an amazing quarterback. Maybe they don't, but maybe they do. And if that were to be the case, maybe they just want to hold on to him longer, just in case Rodgers were to leave maybe after 2 years. Then they could potentially transition to Jordan Love. But then the question is, what kind of offers could they potentially be getting for Jordan Love? Because now with Rodgers coming back for, at least probably a couple seasons, I do think it makes a lot of sense to trade Jordan Love, depending on what kind of offers the Packers are getting. So I was looking around, and there are different people who believe Jordan Love is worth different trade values, and looking around at some people asking, front offices, GMs, things like that. I have a few different tweets to go over. First off here from Grant Paulson, he says, I've asked around about Jordan Love's trade value. I got pretty consistent feedback from the NFL front office types who I contacted. It sounds like Jordan Love might fetch the Packers a 3rd-round pick at this point. But listen to this next guy. He has a different assessment here. The timing is good for Green Bay. Tyler Dunn on Twitter. The timing is good for Green Bay. Was chatting with one former GM this week who still consults for teams and has been studying this year's draft class. He believes Jordan Love is better than any of the quarterback prospects. Trade return could be good. So this guy, from who he talked to, says he's better than any of the quarterbacks in this draft class, which clearly, if that were to be the case, maybe 1st-round pick. I don't know if that would actually happen, but this guy seems to think so, whoever he was talking with. Then a final one here from Jim Nagy. He says, just hit up a few NFL scouts about potential asking price for Jordan Love. Most think Packers could get a second-round pick for him. Feeling is talent and upside worth that roll of the dice. So I think when we look at these possible scenarios, I say if the Packers were to get, let's say, third round or worse, I don't think the Packers should trade him, especially at this point, because if he's only getting us a third-round pick, we spent a first-round pick on him, I don't think it's a good idea to trade him. I think that you could wait and sort of see how he plays in the preseason. If he ever does have to fill in for Rodgers, maybe he has a huge game and other people are like, okay, maybe Jordan Love's actually good. I think you can get more than a third-round pick, in that scenario. But with the fact that someone else said that they believe that Jordan Love is better than lots of these quarterback prospects or any of the quarterback prospects in this draft class, it does make you think, okay, maybe there is a team out there that would be willing to take a risk on Jordan Love and maybe give a first-round pick. I feel like a first-round pick isn't as likely, but what do I know? But I think that a second-round pick could be more likely. And I think that if you are the Packers and you do plan to have Aaron Rodgers for the next few seasons, you can get a second-round pick right now. It would be a little tempting, I think, for the Packers to be able to have that pick because clearly that will definitely help this team in the short term. So I do think there are lots of potential things that could happen here because if the Packers still really love Jordan Love and they think that potentially, after 2 years, Rodgers could retire or to get traded, maybe at that point you bring Jordan Love in. The thing is, with Jordan Love, he is going to be entering his third season. So at that point, let's say Rodgers were to leave after 2 years. Not saying it's going to happen, just saying theoretically. Jordan Love would be at the end of his rookie deal. You either have to give him that fifth-year option, which would cost, a lot of money. I don't exactly know the numbers, but it would be a lot of money, not a rookie contract. That would definitely be a lot, but if the Packers think that he could be worth it, maybe they play him 1 year on the fifth-year option if Rodgers were to leave, and then sort of see what to do after that season, whether they want to keep him or get rid of him, or they just trade him now and sort of see what they can get in return, and that could potentially be a scenario. So I do think there are lots of scenarios. They could trade him now. They could not trade him now. They could wait, trade him in a year. They could wait, trade him in 2 years. There's so many different things that could happen, but I do think it could be smart, at least in the short term. Looking at the short term, 100% it makes sense to trade Jordan Love because if he's not going to be playing for you, unless he's the backup, obviously, you get some immediate draft capital that could help you in the next season or two. So definitely in the short term, it makes sense to trade Jordan Love. But if the Packers do think there's a chance he could still be the future, I think it's a lot lower now, but maybe there's still something in their head that thinks, well, just in case, we still have Jordan Love. Because eventually, think about it. Let's say we trade Jordan Love away. In 3, 4, 5 years, we'll have to find another replacement once again. So we could go through this whole scenario once again. So who knows what's going to happen? I wouldn't be opposed either way if the Packers want to keep Jordan Love for now. If they want to trade him, honestly, I think either thing could potentially make sense, depending on all the knowledge and information that the guys at the front office have that we currently, as fans and the public, don't really have. Hopefully they make a decision that is best for the Packers, not only for the short term, but also for the long term as well. But that is sort of my thoughts on the situation. Let me know your thoughts on if the Packers should trade him or not trade him in the comments down below. But that is all for this video. If you guys haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe down below. Drop a like on the video as well, and I will see you guys next time.